Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back. It's Lex, and today we're going to be talking about the new movie, The Flash, starring Erza Miller as he returns for his role as the Flash, and also starring Micheal Keaton, also his return as the Batman. This movie definitely suffers from a lot of really high highs and really low lows. This movie was really inconsistent, having a stable pace for it. A lot of the times, the movie seemed a little generic and cheesy when it was really at its lowest. Unfortunately, that doesn't do good for a viewing experience, in my opinion. Even though the highs are really excellent, the lows really tend to be really bad and kind of cringy at times. Erza Miller's acting as his younger self throughout the movie. I'm trying not to have any spoilers in this review, but he acts as his younger self, and when he does, it's a super very cringe. Like it's almost like a kind of cheesy, almost kind of like on the nose type of like acting in this point. This is what I'm talking about, because this happens through the entire movie. It just sometimes when the emotions get going, there's almost like not being able to believe this scene, or not having that level of like, oh, I believe him actually going through it. There is levels of cringiness through all this movie, and that's the unfortunate part about watching it, because sometimes the story does go in a place where you're like, wow, this is amazing, I'm enjoying each part of it, and it's just like some parts are like, what is going on right now? Is ridiculous? And the comedy did hit at times. There was some good jokes throughout the movie, but sometimes there was just really cringy moments. Like in the beginning of the movie, there's a scene where the Flash has to save a bunch of these babies, and they're just falling out of this like 10-story building out of nowhere, and it's just like all this chaos going on. And I've almost felt like it was unnecessary at that time. Like it wasn't like something that I was able to like say, oh, this is pretty awesome. I just felt like, what? Like a bunch of babies are just falling out. Almost kind of dark even. And I was kind of surprised, because I wonder if the movie was going to kind of follow suit in that way, where, there was like these very dark moments. A lot of the impactful moments that happened through the movie, especially when Erza is communicating with his younger version, kind of fall short, in the sense that it's almost like weird seeing like two grown versions of himself, while you could kind of tell like he's trying to play a younger version, like trying to be like, oh, like whatever about it, but like you could really tell that, it's just not believable that they're having this conversation with each other when he's talking to his younger version of himself versus talking to the older version. I wonder how difficult that kind of was, like who he was talking to. Was it a person? Was it just CGI? Was it like a green screen man? Like you can really tell that there was a struggle having that connection between his younger version and his older version, because you could really see it in the screen right here, and that's really sucked, because it took away from the immersion of the movie. Although when they were able to actually have a good moment, and it seemed like he was finally locked in with whatever he was doing in that scene, it did tend to feel like very heartwarming, where you could kind of tell like, okay, this is what it was supposed to be, rather than what we get for the most of the movie here. I don't want to fault him that much, because I don't know what he had to experience doing those scenes, or what he had to do, but you could really tell when you're watching the movie that, there was very cringy moments, especially like him as the old 18-year-old version of himself. Like it was super cringe. It was super like, I'm a kid, but reality, he still looks kind of like 29, or however old he is when he's the original Flash. This movie definitely, in my opinion, does not pick up until the second half of the movie. A lot of the first half is kind of establishing what is going on, establishing kind of an origin story, establishing kind of motive for him. But they do it in not the best ways. A lot of the moments and scenes don't feel like sometimes he's just standing outside his house, or they're doing it by flashbacks, or they're doing this, or they're doing that. Like I didn't really enjoy these parts, and this is where I'm kind of like, well, you know, they could have maybe done a better job telling the story. But after the first half, once you get past that, oh, that's when things start to kick off. Especially once we get to see the Micheal Keaton Batman, because oh, dude, it's so sick, bro. Once you get to that part of that movie, everything just starts rolling. They start going and going and going. But they do spend like almost an hour, telling what is going on and how did they get there. I really like one of the scenes where Batman is explaining kind of the multiverse and how the Flash is affecting everything, what destruction, because at this point of multiverse movies, we've seen so many at this point that like it's overly explained. So like for him to be explaining it in a comedic way, using spaghetti, using like that scene to be like, oh, like this is how it works, this is what is going on, and kind of just moving on. Like I thought that was funny. I thought that was a good way, creative way to like explain what is going on in their version of the multiverse. Because the last couple movies we've seen, especially like the Avengers or the Spider Verse, we get to see how they're telling how the multiverse is created versus how their multiverse, DC Universe's multiverse, is being created, which is a very massive, massive multiverse that they're making here. I don't know if they're gonna continue doing this with him, or they're gonna continue with a different actor, or where they're gonna go, because they have so much potential doing this. And a lot of these movies tend to have that much potential because they're opening up such a gateway to be able to go into any universe, pick from anything. I think at this point of like movie, like superhero movies, you kind of have to do that, especially that you want to get more creative or fix things that are not cohesive with the other movies. I think this is a perfect way for them to all have that scapegoat and have that way to fix whatever they need to fix with these movies. Michael Keaton's return as the Batman is really awesome, although his dialogue isn't that much, but his action scenes are really super cool, man. Like this is kind of a different way that I get to see Batman fighting. You know, his version of fighting. They really did him justice, no pun intended. They really did an amazing job, like choreographing the fighting, and like it's cool to see him back on the screen. And he's an amazing actor. He just seems very natural on the screen, so it's cool to see him again. This movie is definitely full of surprises, full of unexpected cameos that you're gonna have to see for yourself. It's really amazing in that part. Remember what I said earlier, there's a lot of highs, a lot of low lows, but when they get high, they go crazy with it. A lot of unexpected cameos that the fans are really gonna love. They're really gonna love to see these characters. They're really gonna love to see that they're, you know, mentioned here. So hopefully you guys are excited for that. There will be like more than just Michael Keaton. Hopefully it's not a spoiler for you guys, but there is just more to see. Not gonna get too much into that, but just be aware of that. Have that expectation, like, hey man, who am I about to see? Who are we about to get? Because it was fantastic in that part. I cannot take that away from them, and it was amazing experience to watch that. Although we get to see characters come back and we get to see new characters come in, unfortunately the story does not hold up in itself. A lot of the stories is very generic, is something that you can kind of tell that what's about to happen. It's very predictable, and that's why I'm gonna say that this movie isn't the one of the best movies I've seen, let alone the best multiverse movies that I've seen. It's a very predictable narrative. It's a very predictable story that is being told, and even though it is enjoyable and still good to watch, and I would recommend people to go watch this movie, it still like takes away from that because it's just like it's very unoriginal in that sense. You know, we've already seen so many multiverse movies, so we were kind of spoiled by that factor. So I don't know if that plays into that part, but it's just it's not, I don't think it's very good if you can tell each scene what's about to happen. Oh, this is about to happen, this is about to happen. Like, and for that, I hate that it's very predictable. I wish it wasn't, but it is very predictable. You can kind of tell by like the first 30-40 minutes exactly what's going to end up happening here. So with its generic storytelling and its cringy moments in acting, although very high moments of like surprise guest, and you know, very good action scenes, and also having like very good CGI and things like that, visual effects, I still gotta say this was not a very exciting movie for me to watch. It was just like, unfortunately for me, and I have to say, man, I wish it wasn't so, but it is so, and I gotta be honest with you guys here. If you are a Flash fan, go watch this movie. It is a must. If you are a Batman fan, go watch this movie. It is a must. You gotta go do it, man. If you're just a DC kind of type of person, go watch it. You're gonna have enjoyable time. If you can get past the acting, you can get past the very predictable storytelling. But with that being said, I hit more lows than I did highs, and unfortunately I'm gonna have to give this movie a 6.7 out of 10. There it is, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. I hope you guys enjoy the movie. Once you go watch it, let me know in the comments down below. Are you excited for it? Let me know in the comments down below if you've watched the movie already. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know everything. I would love to hear it. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you smash that sub button. And with that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.